am. How you guys doing today? I like it. I like it. That's we always hear different things during our Volunteer of the Week videos. What I didn't expect to overhear was somebody else turning up all the way from the front. Girl, you look so good from whatever. And so that's you would never hear guys do that. Like in two guy best friends would be like, "Yo, bro, you look pretty good in that video." But girl best friend, you look so good. I don't even know who it was, but it was funny. Man, we're thankful for all our volunteers that are a part of here, and man. That it really speaks to this very series that we're in, tribes, and what does it look like to be a part of a tribe? And last week we started off in an amazing fashion. You guys did a great job. I do think that 8:30 had you beat out, though, in how rowdy they were. We did a little bit of sing-along and finishing phrases from different songs. We did everything from Oasis to Vanilla Ice to Red Hot Chili Peppers, Little Biz Marquee, and you guys did a phenomenal job as we finished out those songs, and everybody was singing, having fun. And it was interesting because, and we talked about how songs bring us together. And we all want to be a part of something, which is why we're taking last week and the next 4 weeks to talk about what does it mean to be a part of a community, a church, a tribe of people, to be able to connect and share and move in love and grace and learn what it means to be about something bigger than ourselves. And so as we started that series out, we had a lot of fun and really aimed at, you know what? You and I are built for friendships. We're built for relationships. We're built to be a part of a tribe. And we love that, whether it's in sports, whether you're watching, the Cleveland Cavaliers absolutely fall apart. And they came back one game. Let's be real. It's not gonna last. Or whether you're just a fan of music or a different sport or whatever. And I've found myself joining a couple of different new tribes that I never would have thought that I would be a part of. If someone told me this years ago that I would be moving in this, I go, no, not at all. Like the first one that's just popped up recently is I'm loving, and I didn't really think I would be. How many of you guys are gardeners out there? You love like growing. Yeah, see, it's not like some people are like, oh, I know about that. I thought people would say like, yeah, I'm into gardening. I'm like, you need to pick a new hobby. But now I'm growing stuff on my back deck, and we're eating dinner, and I'm like, I'm going to chop up some jalapenos and throw this in there. And like, I love it. Now I find myself reading like, okay, what plants grow in this weather and that weather, and what's the best soil? And I'm getting super nerdy about this, guys. And I'm embracing the fact that as I get older, I've even joined groups to learn about on Facebook. I'm in different groups about what is it like to grow different things. I'm asking questions, and I'm geeking out on it, and I'm kind of liking it. And so as I've gotten older, I never would have thought that would be the case. Another group that I've actually started to wade into, my brother actually turned me on to this whole idea. He's been inviting me to this group that he's a part of. And they meet every other Tuesday way out in Punga, almost North Carolina. It is a wood carving group. And I'm not kidding, the average age is 71 in this group. And I say 71 because they're all much older than 71, but my brother, who's 2 years younger than me, offsets that enough that now the median age and livelihood is really it's ratcheted up now. And so he meets with these guys and they carve, and he's been telling me, man, you need to come be a part of this. And you have that little piece of wood with you. And he's been telling me, man, I need to go there, so you can take that out and kind of hold it. And I've been learning about these different types of wood and things. I'm like, all right, by the end of summer, I'm going to finally come to your group. I just really need to get my bearings straight. Everybody's like, yeah, whatever, wimp. He's like, I come with a dull knife, and I come to do this. And so I'm like, my bad. But I'm not ready to go yet because I'm not sure. And so I've been studying up on this and getting myself prepared for what it would mean to dive into this tribe, because I know I don't want to embarrass myself. I want to be able to learn, but I know that if I go eventually, I'm going to learn what it means to take a raw piece of wood and fashion it into something amazing. He's been working on this duck that he's been working for months. And for you and I in this journey of tribes, for many of us, our hope is that we're like a very, pristine, kind of raw piece of wood, ready to be shaped, ready to be cut and modeled into what the proper form of it is. Around our house, wood takes on all kinds of different shapes. We, with the girls the other day, because just diving into this, we made a big, because what do you do on a Saturday? If you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you know that we built a medieval catapult. Like, we made a legit catapult. It's like this long by about this tall, and we put the band on it. We used one of my wife's workout bands, and we put it on it, and we're launching stuff in the neighbor's house because that's what you do. And it was amazing, and all because she learned about simple machines in class. And so we start there, but there's other things, like we have this old table that was just used for changing out motors back in the shed for my father-in-law who used to work on lawnmowers. And so we repurposed, I got it out, I sanded it, moved it down, stained it, and now we use it as an end table, an industrial-looking end table in our living room. You see, wood can take on all sorts of forms. Even this, I got this out and cut a piece of wood and routed it out and stained it and everything so I could preach from it every week. But for many of us, we don't feel like we're this type of pristine, ready to be formed wood. Who is that person that's helping us become something even better than where we find ourselves? Because many of us, we don't feel like this. What we ultimately end up feeling like is more like this piece of wood, a little bit cut and broken, a little bit messed up, some motor oil on it. We feel like we've been tainted and really messed up in life. We feel like, you know what, I'm not even ready and prepared to be in the hands of somebody that could change me or help me, or in a tribe where somebody would take this and go, you know, in a tribe when it comes to God and others, I think I'm just always going to stay like this because I'm not good enough. Or for some of us, we feel like we're like this piece that we took out of our flower bed that's pretty rotten, and we love being outside. We're in life. We're living life, man. But honestly, this thing was buried and gross, and everything, growth had gotten over it. And, well, for a lot of us, we feel a little bit dead on the inside. Feel like there's no way that we could ever be shaped and moved and restored and redeemed into what we could be. But I think if we truck along long enough, eventually we'll land in a place where somebody, now I need to preface this, I did not make this. This is actually Dylan. I'm not kidding. His little tag, this is from Amazon.com, and his name on there said, "I am Dylan." And so you too can own Dylan or whatever their name is. I don't know how weird that is. But it's made out of a couple different woods that they formed together and started carving. And actually, it took me a while as I went on their website to read the story as they would shape the body and eventually shape it up to here, because you could see, and I'll leave it up here later if you want to come up because you don't believe me. They would then just shape the head in a raw form, glue it on here, and then form it so it would take on the same look and feel as the rest. See, but this took time. This took a lot of effort. This also took, more than likely, people learning and teaching what it means to get to a craft in a place, being in a tribe where, well, you would learn the art of making a duck. Now, I think for many of us, our hope is that we would be formed into something greater than what we find ourselves in our current state. And that's what tribes are all about. And today I want to look at, what does it mean for you and I to give someone else permission to speak into our lives and help us to become a better version of, well, the empty little block or maybe the rotten piece of wood, to be restored and changed into something even more beautiful and useful. If you have a Bible, I'd love for you to turn to the book of Hebrews, and the Bible is where we're going to be. Hebrews chapter 10. If you don't have a Bible, we give them away for free out at the Get Connected table in the lobby. Or you could go to forefrontchurch.info. That is our digital Get Connected table, and go to the Bible tab. You could download a digital Bible, or you could download, and this is we're biased, but our favorite is the Forefront Church app. And everything that we'll talk about today, all the notes, all the extra goodies and stuff is right there. You could fill it out, email it back to yourself. All those tools are free because we believe that if you engage your faith more than just this time together that we have for an hour during the week, that you're going to begin to watch your life grow and change. It's like if you go, man, I want to lose weight, and then you work out for 30 minutes a week. You're not going to lose weight. Why? Because you keep on eating the same stuff, and then you go, oh, my 30-minute workout's going to eat up all the stuff that I know. It's not. Well, what do? You change your diet, you begin to correct things, you begin to work out, and then you watch change happen. It's the same way in your journey with the divine. And so we want you to use those tools. And over here, these next three passages we're going to look at describe what it means to live and let other people into your life and really help get you from a place where you're in this raw state, or maybe you're in these broken, kind of beat up states, to get to a place where you go, man, even I, and nobody is too far gone or too far down a road where God and others are going, man, there's no way we could do anything with that. You can be moved, shaped, and changed. But just like wood, it has to be cut, it has to be refined, it has to be transformed. That's not easy. It can sometimes even be painful, but it ends up beautiful. Why don't you read these passages along with us? If not, it'll be here on the screen. Hebrews 10, starting in verse 24. It says, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together," this, being together, being a part of this tribe, "as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another all the more as you see the day approaching." Basically saying our days are numbered, that we have a shelf life here on this rock we call earth. And so what are you and I doing with that to encourage one another? Are you walking around with Eeyore syndrome, just grumpy and sad and whenever nobody likes me and just hating life? Or are you walking through things in a joyful way to also encourage other people? And we're going to get to some of that here in a minute. Over in the Old Testament of the Bible, writers record it this way: a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. It's really easy to be somebody's friend when everything is happy-go-lucky. It's a yellow brick road. Everybody's joyful. There's a bluebird landing on your shoulder. That type of stuff. It's easy to be there for someone when things are good. But what if things hit the fan and the bottom drops out? That is when true friendship shows its test. And then back over into the New Testament in the book of Colossians, it says, "Bear with each other." These words are huge. "And forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone." This is basically saying, listen, that if you're going to be in a tribe, it's just like a family. You don't just get to go, nah, I don't really want you in the family, and like kick them out. No, you got to deal with that. You're not like kicking the 5-year-old out and be like, "Hit the streets, kid. We got to work it out." Like, no, you deal with it and you move forward and you move on. It's the same thing in friendship. And not only that, forgive people. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. You see, we refine, when we'll hear this in other weeks, the Old Testament of the Bible records it, that as iron sharpens iron, so one man or one woman sharpens another. That we would be in close community and friendship with other people to be able to help us be the best version of ourselves. Because you see what we don't need? I don't need a friend. I love this quote. I don't need a friend who changes when I change and who nods when I nod. My shadow does that much better. And here's the thing, we do this. In social media is like the new town square. Before, in years gone by, what would happen is people would gather at places like for instance, in our context, at the ocean front, in what Virginia Beach is trying to create, in the town center-esque thing, or like places in Hampton, where people would gather together and they would share ideas and talk and open up and live life and talk about what's going on in culture. Well, now the new medium for that is social media. Now, there's times where that's absolutely amazing. There's a lot of times where it's totally awful. Well, because we want to, and we're conditioned, it's a survival instinct within human beings to make friendships and relationships with people. And it's okay if you disagree. The problem is there's plenty of study to prove that it's true, that we would create relationships with people that won't rub harshly against our worldview, that we would make relationships with people that would reaffirm everything that we do, commiserate with us when we don't like what's going on, and will never challenge us. We're conditioned to want to do that, and that's what this new public square is. Why? The moment that somebody says, "having a crummy day," or they don't use that verbiage, immediately everybody, "yeah, man." A couple people might say what's wrong, but most people, "yeah, stick it to the man, blah, 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 do whatever," and all this stuff. Why? Because we're conditioned to have a circle like that. That's why when you get on and you're like, I don't like the politics, and then you have what do you have? You have a majority of people who swing in, I don't like the politics either. Well, nobody likes them, but you could maybe try joy. Like maybe try like, hey, you're breathing, you have a roof over your head, like these things, and we're going to get into that in a second. But being able to go, you know what? I don't need just yes men or yes women in my life. And I love the way Henry Ford puts it. He says, you know what? My best friend is the one who brings out the best in me. My best friend is someone who moves that. And I would actually take that a step further from what Mr. Ford shared. And this is our takeaway. Instead of giving you 1,000 things to remember, my hope is that you'll get one. Now, before we go there, you need to know that not only it might feel like, wow, that's awesome, don't miss the last part, because if you take the first part without the last part, it will do you no good. Because we have to take it in its entirety to be able to understand how we move forward as we go and say, you know what, I want to be a part of a tribe with other people, a part of a church, a part of a community, and not only have the larger version of that, but then the smaller, tight-knit version. And so we would put it this way. Friendship results in depth of character and love for God, but we can't stop there because anything else is a what? Facade. Now I get this. You may say, Jason, you know, I get that, depth of character, love for God. I have relationships that actually bring out all these other things, and they may be good. I'm not saying they're not. But true friendship, the best version of you, someone who connects with you, will bring out depth of character and love for God. As you connect with other people, those will be the things that people see about you. Those people go, man, there is something different about you. And it manifests itself in two ways as you grow. Well, the first part of that is you will begin growing in joy and grace. I tell you what, I meet a ton of people who don't know Jesus all the time. Not only do we have people who connect here who are just trying to explore the divine, but throughout when I'm out doing other things, I love hanging around people who don't know Jesus. And they have a complaint about Christians, and usually when they say it, they expect me to go, well, actually, and like justify it. And when they say it, I go, me too. And they're like, what? And this is the thing. If you say you love Jesus, and then you walk around with this kind of face, and you say that through your phone conversations, through your interaction with your neighbor, through your interaction with, maybe you're in a relationship or with your spouse or with your kids or at work. If you walk around grumpy, angry, bitter, all this stuff, and they go, man, I just don't understand. If Christians say they love God and they have joy, why are they so unhappy? And I go, right? Because I see people, and here's the thing, and you may not like this, but you need someone who brings out depth of character and love for God, because I would say that if you say you love Jesus and then you're never joyful and you're never gracious, then there may be a chance that your connection with God is not what you think it is. Now, don't take that and go, all right, Jason, we're going to turn and use these little pieces of wood to then throw them at you if you don't like that, because I love you. And again, we talk about this all the time. You need people in your life that love God and love you, but love God more than you. So I could say, while I love you, there may be a chance that if you say you love Jesus, you're not showing it to the people that need to know how much you love Jesus. Because it will manifest itself in growing in joy. I'm not saying you walk around all the time and all of a sudden you had, you know, your pet died and you're like, man, my dog died, like whatever. Like, I'm not saying that, right? I'm not saying that immediately when you wrecked your car and the police show up and you go, my car, it's totaled. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is when they show up in that instance, say in the car wreck, they go, you okay? I'm okay. And you're checking on the other people, and they go, wait a second. Even if it was the other person's fault, that you don't get out and turn into a raging, loony maniac? And people go, wait a second, why aren't you upset? Well, I guess I'm upset, but I want to make sure that person's okay. Because I want to believe the best that maybe they didn't mean to hit my car. Maybe it was an accident. Heaven forbid. Maybe you walk around with joy and grace in your life. One of the best examples of this that I see, and I warned him ahead of time, Jim, who plays the bass over here, he played this morning. Man, every time I see Jim, he exemplifies love and grace, this joy. I'll be like, hey, Jim, what's going on? Doing good, man. I'm like, I'm doing good. He's like, it's always good to be good. In a way, right? And he's just happy. I mean, immediately, every single time I talk to him, I always expect him to end it. It's always good to be good. All right, all right, all right. Like he just, like he has that air about him, minus the whole like creeping on girls thing. Like he just, because that's what Matthew McConaughey's character was. He just is always joyful. I've never heard him say anything ill about anybody. Even if he's talked about situations where people have been mean, and he has never spoken a bad word about anybody. And I believe that he would never say anything mean about anyone. I'm sure maybe he has in his lifetime, but he is exemplary. And every time I see Jim, I just want to be around Jim, because Jim exemplifies and embodies that joy, because he has surrounded himself with people that build the depth of character and a love for God. Another piece that we see in that in our lives is that we begin to see that selflessness is growing in your life. Not being of yourself, but of others. I've watched this, and one of the coolest examples, and I don't take credit for it, is my 6-year-old daughter, Roxy. She gets paid for, we give them money because we incentivize grades and all that. You do well, we're gonna pay you. You may have a different opinion of that. That's what we got to do in our house. So so last year when they got money for their report cards, they went out, and Chloe was trying to pick something up, our 8-year-old at the time, and they're going through stuff, and Chloe didn't have enough money. And so Roxy immediately takes out of her pocket, says, here, you can have this. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, because you don't have money. You want to get it. You want it. And I'm like, Roxy, you don't have to do it. She's like, I don't care. She wants it. That'll make her happy. And the other day, she had gotten money for progress reports. I said, baby, where's the rest of your money? It was like $6 left over from when she got. So she said, I gave it at church. Some other people need it more than me. And she's always, now I'm not going to say there are other times where they argue, all right? They're kids, and so they butt heads, and you took my whatever. That happens. But there's something as I'm watching, I go, man, she's learning at a very young age to just she knows the value of money. She knows what it could buy, but she just wants to give it away. She's like, Dad, you want money? And I'm tempted. I'm like, I know I gave that to you, but I don't never mind. Yeah, but this selfless attitude. But I wonder, for the brief few minutes we have left, if I could take the role of that person that helps you build character in this deep level and a love for God in 3 ways. These are 3 ways that actually I was taught by someone as I went away to Bible college to find out if God was even real. My plan was to go do another thing, but I was like, if God's real, and that's what I want to go and figure that out. And so I went, and during my first 2 semesters, I had a friend who said, if you're going to follow this path with God, I want to help guide you in a couple things. So I'm like, all right, let's explore that. And he told me these 3 things that I still try to practice today, and my hope is that if you practice them, and again, all this stuff we're about to cover is in the mobile app, and it's going to be on forefrontchurch.info under today's message, and it's on there right now. So if you want to go through some of these action steps, they are there. The first one is face-to-face. You and I, if we want to build relationships as a friend, you need to have face-to-face interaction. The biggest deterrent from this is this little guy right here. Now, the same thing with 8:30 a.m. There's a little collective groan across the audience. I don't think any of this is bad. I'm so pumped that Steve Jobs and Google and all these other people create these amazing devices. I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with mobile devices. But here's what I do know, is that the app, when people build apps, it triggers the same type in the brain when you get a notification ding or a like or any of this, that it triggers the same parts of the brains, as they've studied this, that inside the brain that heroin addicts have when they get high. That you're processing it in the same addictive way that the average person grabs their phone 135 times a day. 135 times a day. 87% of those studied, of those users of mobile devices, say that they have had or would have a panic attack if they were without their device for one 24-hour period. I don't think this thing's bad, but I do think that it's ruining people because we haven't taken it back. And so my hope as we walk through the face-to-face and then these next couple of things, that I can give you some easy ways to take back the moments that you have so that you can move forward. The first app that can do this is this app called Moment. And there's links through all the stuff that we talked about. Moment is an app that tracks, it doesn't report it to anybody, but it tracks your cell phone usage. For some of you, this would be bonkers. I'm going to be transparent this morning and show you a little bit of mine. Thursday, I had my device open and looking at a screen for 3 hours and 41 minutes. Friday, I had a kid who threw up and got sent home, and so I stayed home with her, and she made me watch D-list Netflix movies, and so I had usage of 5 hours and 22 minutes. Don't judge me. Yesterday, 3 hours and 47 minutes. My average usage is around 3 hours and 40 minutes. What it does, and it'll flip over to the next one if we were to scroll to the next tab, is it notes a dot every time you pick it up. And so during that time period, I picked it up 48 times. It notes each time when you open it up how many minutes you were on your phone. This is all free, but you can actually have a paid version where you can track your entire family and all the different usage that they have. There's other things out there for that. This is a really great one for you as an adult as well. And then you can flip on over. If you scroll over, you could set daily limits, reminders. I'm currently on a plan under the coaching thing where by the end of summer, I'll be under an hour of usage on mine because I lived without a phone for years. And why do I need to look at a screen now? Because I want to take this device and use it what it should be for. But the average American in the United States uses this kind of stuff. And so how do we get more face-to-face time? Because if I'm going to be that friend to you that can build character and depth in there and also a love for God, my hope is that you'll have face-to-face interaction, and you can't do that while staring at a screen. I counted 8 people in the doctor's office when I was there for my kid getting her braces done. 8 people. You want to know how many people were staring at the device? The entire time, 40 minutes I sat in there. Anybody want to guess? 8. All 8. No one looked at each other. I was in there 45 minutes. Nobody. 15 years ago, people would have been reading magazines, probably would have looked at one another face to face. More than likely would have had a conversation about as their kids were coming in and getting work done. Not a single person talked to one another, including me. We need to reclaim those moments, and this is a great way to do that. It will drive you crazy, and you'll be ashamed. I'm ashamed as I look through it, but it'll go, man, I need to curb that because I want to reclaim what those things are. The other piece of this, an action step, is prayer. And it happens every single week. We're going to talk about prayer. Now, if you want to reclaim prayer, I talk to people, and they're like, hey, can I pray? I would love for you to pray for me. Usually, you either write it down, or what I mean as I talk with people, this is the brutal truth. When I talk with people and I ask them, when someone says, will you pray for me, what do you do and say? The honest part, I've heard this from people in my small group, people that I've asked in private, is they said, I usually tell them, I'll be praying for you, and then I forget. I don't write it down, usually, not all the time, but they say, I forget. Well, I use this thing, and every Sunday, I write stuff down, and then I put it in this. It's called the Echo Prayer app. Now, you might be saying, Jason, you just told us to get off our phones, and now you're going to point me to something that gets me on my phone. I don't think these things are bad, but I do think we need to reclaim them. And so if you're going to get on it for a little bit, why not do stuff that's going to be helping you and helping others? And so when you open it up and you swipe around, you see, and I blacked out one because that's for me, not for y'all. It's a connection with God. I pray for my family, neighbors, city, volunteers, you guys. Rhythm in 20, small groups. There's also another little one down there. It gets cut off. If you're nosy, that's finances. And it continues to scroll through, and there's more, but I made sure I moved those down so you didn't see those. But I go through there, you can set up alerts and reminders. All throughout the day, I get dings that happen on my device. I go, oh, it's time to stop and take a minute and pray for my family because they're away at school and away at their work. Pray for people around me all throughout the day, being able to do that. And if you go to another screen there, when you open it up, it gives you can pray now or add a prayer. If you click pray now, it opens it up, and you can have an all alert free moment where you can swipe through, and all the things that are on your list you can begin to pray for. And it gives you options to be able to do that. You can click when a prayer's been answered, and then it logs it and archives it, so you can go back and go, man, it was so cool. I've been praying for that for like 15 months. And then this happened. It was so amazing. You know what's happened? Is that whole selflessness is building up and growing in you. When I sit and do this, you know what I don't think about? Me. And I would say as a friend, being able to build each other up in depth of character and love for God, maybe what you do is reclaim, instead of getting the alerts from Facebook, that you go, you know what, I want alerts that are coming to me about who I can be praying for. Because man, wouldn't that be awesome if we had a church of hundreds of people, because we have hundreds and hundreds of people that are a part of this church, that everybody was praying for one another. You already have that little thing in your pocket anyways. Why not use it for the good of other people? Because I know what's happened in my life is I pray for my friends, I pray for my family, all these people, for my community. I think about things differently when I'm out in public. When I go walk into Walmart, I don't think, who can I take a picture of and post it to people at Walmart? I think, I've never done that, by the way, although I've thought about it. I walk in and I go, if I see somebody who looks like they're having a bad day, I stop and I pray for them. Not like stop, because I feel that might be a little bit abrasive. You might do this. Stop, maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't grab them and say, I need to pray for you. I'll push my cart and I'll start, just in my head as I'm walking through, I'll start praying for them. Makes me think differently about people when they cut me off in traffic. Like, what's so heavy in their life? Not always. Sometimes I mess up and want to tell them they're number one. But most times, I want to be able to say, hey, what are they rushing to? Maybe they're going to the hospital. Maybe they had something really important that happened and they lost track of time. It changes the way you think, and it builds that depth of character and love for God. Not only that, not only should we have face-to-face time, not only should we have prayer, but as a friend, if I can be that friend to you this morning, you need to also begin to give it away. That you're giving it away to others. And what I was encouraged almost 20 years ago, that as you begin to give it away, the best people that you can give it away to are not only the people around you, but to the next generation. Now, you may have kids, and so this is really easy. You may work with kids, and so this is really easy. But what I've known is that people usually end up having a niece, a nephew, a cousin, whatever, that they go, man, I could be pouring into other people. And that's why I want to talk to you guys especially about this app called the Parent Cue. It's this amazing app, and all of these are free, that helps you track what's going on in the lives of the kids that you have influence over. And so if you're an uncle or an aunt, why not plug this in for the moments that you spend time with them? If you're a parent, why you don't have this, I don't have any idea. Because we've had parents, we've been handing out the papers that go along with all of our teaching curriculum, and we've had parents years and years ago who go, why do you give me all these papers? They just end up on my floorboard. And now all of these parents have kids that have graduated or they are graduating, and they go, my kids are off the rails. And I go, and I want to think, hey, remember that time that you complained about those papers that we handed you? If you had actually used those papers before it became an app, you could have helped guide your kids. But now you're mad that your kids are off the rails. And I don't know, maybe you could have used that stuff. And so why not use it? And I love this. And so we'll kind of dive in. We'll swipe across. And I know that my daughter is 471 weeks old. She is halfway through. And she has 476 weeks until graduation. That's mind-blowing and startling. We swipe again, and we see that Roxy, our middle child, has 580 weeks, so I have a little more time to undo what we messed up with the first one. And she's only 361 weeks old. But we swipe again, as I put in their age of birthdays, 814 weeks. She has a lot more time to learn from our mistakes with the first two as we move in. But if we swipe up, we see that I can see exactly what she learned today as she's moving through it. And then I can see the verse that she's talking about. God made us to do good works. I get to talk to my 2-year-old about how God made her and how God loves her. And I keep swiping up. We can see, get to repeat this phrase this week with her. Who can do what God wants you to do? I can do what God wants me to do. As I get to teach her and guide her. And this is with nieces, nephews, the kids that are around you and a part of you. And then this month, as we wake up, good morning, stretch your arms way high if God made you to do good works. You know what the first app that I check every morning is? Parent Cue. And then we have car ride conversations, and I get to see what they're learning and what they're talking about. In this, if you were to, it says just a phase, but the way they talk about it, it's just a phase that your kid's in, so don't miss it. You see, as a friend, you have the opportunity to take them from this state and get them to this state, and hopefully in the process, not have them end up in this state. You see, we all want to be a part of a tribe, but we're scared. We're scared that if we open up that something could go bad. here's the chances. Something might go bad. Somebody might hurt you. A friendship might wound you. But the right friendships, even with the wounds, even with the mess ups, because you're going to mess up too, will leave you in a place that results in depth of character and a love for God. And my hope and prayer is that we will choose to be in those depth of character moments where we're beginning to love God, because anything else is a facade. You have the opportunity to change it. Question is, will you? Would you pray with me?